William Afton is not a good father. Even a casual viewer of any FNAF game or book he's in can figure this out pretty quickly. From the way he speaks to Michael in Pizzeria Simulator, to him even stabbing his own daughter without hesitation in the movie. Not to mention the death of Elizabeth and the crying child, which could have been avoided entirely if he just watched his damn kids. But one thing I noticed about FNAF is that we hear a whole lot about William, and nothing about his wife, Mrs. Afton, and his relationship with her, or anything about his relationship with his children, except when he's outright neglecting and or abusing them. So that's what I wanted to make today's video about. I just wanted to talk about the Afton family, and share some of the cool things that I've noticed about them, and also a little bit of my own interpretation. Also, William definitely used that Fredbear plush to coach his children in the divorce. Yes, you heard that right. Hello, and welcome to Cherry Soda Broadcast. I'm your host, Soda, and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about the FNAF lore, so grab your flashlights and some extra batteries, I know you'll need them. We're jumping headfirst into the flip side. Now before we get too deep into the pit, please give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more of me. If you loved or hated my video or my theory, let me know in the comments and we can have some friendly discussion, or just come by and say hi. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's talk about Mrs. Afton first. To start off, we know that she has to biologically exist, unless William can just reproduce asexually or clone himself, which I don't think he can. Or, unless that one Fazbear Fright story is 100% literal, but I refuse to admit that. So he definitely had a wife at one point. And contrary to popular belief, I do not think that Clara from The Immortal and the Restless or Valora represents his wife. In fact, I don't think she's ever been depicted in FNAF at all, is what I would say if I forgot about Security Breach. I think the clearest depiction of Mr. and Mrs. Afton's relationship we ever get to see is in the deleted StaffBot conversation that you could have found in the StaffBot silo. And although it's cut content, it might not be canon, I still think it's very valuable and gives us insight on the relationship. In the scene, we have some StaffBots sitting around a table, each obviously representing a member of the Afton family. The StaffBot mother and father argue about the father who's quit his job on a whim, despite having 3 children and expenses to pay. The mother says that she's leaving with the children and hopes that he's happy with the life he has chosen. Spontaneously quitting your job just because you felt compelled to leave your post sounds like something William would do. 2 of his biggest character traits that we see is his impulsiveness and his selfishness. It's a common theme in his characterization to see him do extremely immoral or dangerous things without thinking of the impact and consequences until it's too late. He's also a pretty smart guy, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if he had a high-paying job he quit to start pursuing children's entertainment out of nowhere. This also could have been around the time he started going after Edwin's company. Also, the Aftons splitting up wouldn't have to have some crazy, insane reason. It could have just been the fact that Mrs. Afton was tired of William constantly making stupid decisions that put the family at risk, physically and or financially. He's also kind of a jerk, so she could have gotten tired of him too. I feel like FNAF 4 actually gave us the clearest look into the Afton family's home life that we've ever seen. And I think it really paints a picture of a family going through or being newly separated. To start off, let's talk about Michael. In FNAF 4, he takes the role of a bully to his younger brother, the crying child, or Dave. In all the scenes he's in, we can see him either bullying his younger brother by locking him in closets or scaring him, and this bullying ultimately escalates to the bite of 83. We also see the Afton home a few different times throughout the minigames, and one thing that's noticeable is the fact that Mike and Dave are left home alone pretty much the entire time. I wouldn't be surprised if after the parents separated, Mike became somewhat of a latchkey kid, left to watch his younger brother Dave while dad was working. This could definitely explain the animosity between them. Mike wants to hang out with his friends and be a normal teen and also have privacy, but his little brother is always there. It's also implied that Dave is just always crying or cowering under a table somewhere. This is actually really sad, especially since he's doing this at Fredbear's Family Diner where William works, and most parents would be really worried about this. Not William though. In fact, he 100% feeds into his son's fear of the animatronics and also encourages the bullying, so that's nice. And about the bullying, there is no way in hell that he did not know about it happening until the bite. And I'll talk about that later in the Fredbear plush section, but I definitely got separated parents vibes, also because of the lack of a mother figure in the empty girl's room. Unless this room is just Mike's room and he's a pretty princess, but in all seriousness, it's probably Elizabeth's room. And I don't want to open this can of worms, but I'll talk about it anyway. The house in Midnight Motorist is different than the house that we see in FNAF 4. It's completely plausible that the Aftons moved once they got divorced, and mom and dad bought separate houses. So Mike and the crying child probably have their own rooms at their mother's house, and vice versa. I don't think Elizabeth is dead in FNAF 4 though, because I think that would be something that they'd probably mention, because that would be important. So maybe she's just with her mother during FNAF 4. And listen guys, I'm not a lawyer, I've never been divorced, so I do not have the best understanding of custody laws, so just bear with me. And you know, speaking of custody laws, I think it's time we talk about the Fredbear plush. So William Afton in all depictions is a master of deception and trickery. Even in the movie, he's outright stated to have some way of influencing the animatronics. He's very good at convincing the spirits that the yellow rabbit is a friend and something that they can trust. And even Henry, his best friend, falls victim to him as well, letting him into his family, into his business, and into his life. Practically into his head. And William also manipulates his own son Michael into going down to the bunker to get scooped in sister location. So I guess you could say he's a pretty persuasive guy. But honestly, the Fredbear plush had always struck me as odd. Back in the olden days when FNAF 4 came out, I thought it was definitely possessed from the way it kept teleporting from place to place, always watching the crying child from everywhere, and also the detached, strange way it speaks to him. Which is weird because it really reminds me of someone purple. At first, a lot of the things it tells him seem to be helpful or even comforting, but then things start to get problematic as the week goes on. And he looks borderline demonic in the logbook, so that's something. In the extra night of sister location, we finally get a reveal on what this thing looks like. It's just a simple Fredbear plush with a walkie-talkie fixed into its hand. Since this is literally found in William's office, this is 100% proving that this is William speaking through the plush. How it teleports around to me is more metaphorical. Dave has almost no privacy from it wherever he goes, and it never really makes an effort to do anything but just watch him suffer and occasionally make it worse for him, just like a controlling parent would. William cannot stand not being in control of his son, but God forbid he lift one finger to help him out. So Fredbear is yet another one of Will's tricks, an effort to control and manipulate his young son, reinforcing his fear of animatronics and telling him that Mike hates him. But what if it extended beyond the diner? I mean, it worked so well, a little too well in fact. Why wouldn't he use it for other situations? I mean, what's stopping him from using Fredbear to influence his son in other ways, especially in a separation situation? In Security Breach, we hear a little bit about Vanessa's past, where she discusses with her therapist her father, Bill A. Vanessa's father was an abusive man who blackmailed her into lying in court to demonize her mother so then he could get full custody of her. Unfortunately, this causes Vanessa's mother to commit suicide, and that's honestly just really sad. And there are so many parallels in the FNAF storyline, so it's not completely out of the question to suggest that William Afton might have acted in similar ways to Bill A. I mean, he is even physically abusive to Elizabeth in the graphic novels, so why wouldn't he force or coerce his youngest children to testify falsely against their mother in court? Also, the idea of him using a plush to manipulate his kids is kind of funny. And on top of that, it could add a little bit of depth to the issues Mike has with his little brother. After all, it was his fault. He split up the family because he lied. Honestly, Michael Afton's life is really sad. I'm gonna make a video about that, guys, don't worry. Anyway, this was just a little idea I had. I just wanted to talk about the Afton family, honestly. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was just a little silly theory I came up with too, with some friends, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. As always, please like and subscribe for more stuff, and tell me what you want to see next.